Why is autistic self-care important? I'm going over all of this right now. Stay tuned. Guys, welcome back to the Asperger World. My name is Dan, and if you haven't already downloaded my free Autism Life Hacks PDF book, you can do at autismhacks.net. I have a diagnosis of autism and ADHD, and I make weekly videos all about this. So if you're new around here and you want to learn more, make sure to hit the subscribe button and follow this page. Right, guys, so autistic self-care is really important. Actually, it's probably the most important thing, because in terms of having a different ability like autism, you have to also look at, well, how can I help myself? How can I help, the things in my life? Because obviously we need help, we reach out for support and help, but also there's a level of support and needs that we need to kind of try and access ourselves. So I've written down 5 of probably the most important ones, and a way that I can help share with you different ways in which we can support self-advocacy and self-care. Let's get right into it. Okay, so the first one is promoting emotional regulation. Now, autistic individuals will struggle with emotional regulation and expressing their emotional feelings, right? And this is caused by a bunch of different things. Now, if we think about the word emotion, which is energy in motion, it's basically how we feel an energy and then how we put that energy into motion, which is the emotion that comes out if we're laughing, crying, or having an emotional outburst. One of the ways in which you want to do this is you want to try and reduce your anxiety, because a lot of emotional outbursts come from the fact that, autistic individuals are deeply anxious and they have many anxiety issues. I actually use something called Brillia. Brillia can be used for children and adults. They have like a kids one and an adults one, but the really cool thing about it is it helps with things like, impulsivity and anxiety and irritability and stress, because those things I just listed, those things can upset and create emotional deregulation, which is no good and nobody wants that. Now, Brillia is great because it's non-prescription, there's no nasties in it, and it's quite as natural as you can possibly get with something like this. Now, I actually do work with Brillia kind of exclusively, so if you are interested in taking this or checking it out, I have a 15% discount code down below, ASPY15, when you check out, and you can get 15% off trying Brillia. Now, I would say that if you are going to try something as awesome as Brillia, then maybe check with your doctor first, because obviously before taking any medication, you should definitely talk to your doctor. But the reason I take Brillia is because I want to reduce my anxiety, and by reducing anxiety, it builds a little bit more confidence. And when you're confident about something, you're able to regulate your emotions a little bit extra. Now, it's not the only thing I do to reduce anxiety, but it's the main one. I also use breathing techniques, and I also do relaxation techniques. All of those things come into compass when you're trying to educate somebody in self-regulation. You want to be able to understand yourself and be able to calm yourself down in certain parts. I know things are difficult, but this is how we do it. Okay, so the next thing we're talking about is supporting sensory processing needs. Oh my goodness. So people on the autism spectrum have SPD, or sensory processing disorder. Now, this disorder actually impacts the ability to understand the senses or the input coming from sensory stimuli around you in your environment. It could be sound, taste, light, whatever. All those things are triggers or potential triggers for autism and autistic meltdowns. Now, one of the things I would say about it is having, sensory breaks during your day, taking time out to just literally decompress from maybe a stressful environment, or having time out just to get a breath of fresh air and a cup of water, just to kind of give yourself 5 minutes, just check out a little bit. Now, the cool thing about sensory processing disorder is that you can help, lower those issues by using things like sunglasses for bright light, using things like ear defenders for when you're wanting to kind of lower sound and stuff like that. So making sure that you are on top of your sensory processing needs is a must for self-care and self-regulation. Okay, so number 3 is to encourage self-awareness in oneself. Now, what this means is when you have struggles with life and issues and stuff, if you can identify each one of those issues, then you can attack those issues and try and come up with a solution. If you just have no self-awareness, if you're not practicing self-awareness, you're not able to then attack those issues or pinpoint those issues as being issues, right? So for me, I know that triggers are if I go to the grocery store and I go to the deli counter, it's way too smelly for me, and I can't stay in there for long because of the immense smells that are in there. So I know that's a trigger, so I avoid that, which is basically me noting and taking note of the things that are causing me to have triggers and meltdowns and going, okay, well, I'll avoid those. This is basically a encouraging self-awareness action that I'm taking, because I'm engaging with the fact that, well, I know that this is something that is an issue for me, so I'm taking action to, calm it down. Okay, so number 4 is practicing physical health and well-being. And what this basically means is making sure that we're taking care of our physical health as well. We talk a lot about, mental health, because that comes along with having neurological conditions like autism and ADHD, but also physical health has a huge impact as well. If we keep ourselves physically active, like, jogging, running, walking, working out in a gym, any physical exercise that you can do, any sport that you can engage yourself with will be really beneficial for you because you're taking care of your body. Now, our bodies do reflect a lot of what goes on mentally, because like if we are, lethargic and feeling like rubbish and we're not really kind of active, as much as we want to be, then our minds start to get a little less active as well. And this can cause all kinds of things like mental health issues, and just, it's not a good situation. So practicing good physical health is a must, and that's like a self-care, like number one. Okay, so number 5 is difficult for everybody, but it's a must. Now, this is improving social skills. Now, how do you improve social skills? Well, for a start, I went to a public school that was just typical mainstream public school, right? And I was on the spectrum, but I was forced into situations where I had to kind of like sink or swim, and I wrote about this in my book, which, FYI guys, you can pre-order at autismforadults.com, or if you're watching this and the book's already out, you can get my book, Autism for Adults. And I talk about this specifically in the book, where I was in a school environment where the kids were just like, I had to catch up. I had to pretend to be like the other sharks in the water and really catch up. And what I did was I studied how the other people spoke and what they did. And I didn't fully get what they were doing, but I was able to put those things into practice. Now, improving social skills would be practice. Now, practice makes progress. There's never going to be a perfect. You're never going to be able to I've learned everything there is socially, and now I'm a social butterfly. That's never going to happen. But you can progress forward and learn. So practice makes progress. Just practice being around other people. Ask people questions. Ask people. Like, I remember I was walking up a mountain once with my brother-in-law, and he was like getting all this interaction with these people on the mountain, and I was getting none. And I said to him, dude, like how are you doing this? And he said, well, I'm just smiling at these people and making an effort to smile at them, then they'll smile back at me, and sometimes I say hello. I was like, oh, whoa. So then I tried it, and it worked really well. So learning those type of skills from just literally asking people who you trust is like, it's everything. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.